that's enough.
Welcome back. If you're on my channel, if you're watching this on my channel, my channel is Stefan Redelsteiner Experience. I think that's the name of my channel.
And if you're watching on the other channel, it will be most likely Murdocks Music Minute.
Yeah, and today this is a first time thing for me. You already did some reactions on your channel. I never did a first time reaction on my channel, but this is going to be Pulp. More Pulp is, I think, the title of the album.
More Pulp, yeah.
More Pulp.
More.
We were recording this on June 6th, so it got released today. So this is really a fresh first time listening to this album reaction, and we'll start with the first song now. So that was Spike Island. That's the only song that I knew before because it was the single released like 1 or 2 months ago. I think you have heard the song
I've heard it as well.
Yeah.
It's the only song I heard beforehand.
Yeah. So what's your opinion?
I was a bit surprised how groovy this one is. Quite disco influenced. I mean, that's nothing exactly new from Pulp, but I didn't expect them to return to the mirror ball or the dance floor with this one.
I think that's the direction they had already left with This Is Hardcore and We Love Life. So I think those two albums went away from the disco mirror ball thing. So it's really harking back to different class and also his and hers.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of like the mission for this song. You know, we're back and we want to remind you of the glory days of different class. Let's forget We Love Life and and other stuff. Separations, maybe also forget it.
Back to the mid-90s.
Yeah, back to when we were successful. So that could be, if I now tell you my opinion, that could be something that I think maybe, you know, when I'm harsh, I could say it's a bit cynical, maybe, like, you know, going back to the formula that worked once. But, you know, it's a catchy song. Like you said, it's a groovy song. It's a good song, you know, it's a good song. It's a very good song.
Very solid single, in my opinion. Maybe not as 90s nostalgia as they maybe thought it would be. It almost sounds a bit 70s.
Well, but that was different class, sounded like Roxy music in the 70s.
Yeah, but with those 80s, 90s keyboards. And this one even sounds a bit more retro, maybe. They wanted to sound more classic, more timeless this time. Yeah. And I think it's a good song. Definitely.
Beforehand we said we will rank each song, and you know, 10 out of 10 is like a New Common People, Disco 2000 kind of song. And 1 is whatever the worst song on Wheel of Life was, which isn't my favorite Pulp album, you know, disclaimer. How many points do you give?
Now, listening to it for the second time, as mentioned, it's catchy, it's solid. I would give it a 7
Me too.
Oh, okay.
7.
So it's good, not great, but
I think it's good to very good. Good to very good. So we have to look. I still don't know what the title is.
The next one is called Tina.
Maybe a song about Tina Turner. Let's
see. Find out.
We'll see.
Right, Tina, another Pulp song with a female name.
Yeah.
That's the title.
Sylvia
is another one. So what do you think about Tina song?
I really liked it. And it's also, again, like, you know, Travis Cocker back to his clever wordplay stuff. You know, Tina, the abbreviation for There Is No Alternative, gets even mentioned in the lyrics. And the end is like, did you recognize it's taken like it's taken from Stairway to Heaven? It ends like Stairway to Heaven. It's really strange. But I really liked it. It's not really what I expected, but I liked it.
Yeah, this was definitely an interesting change after the first track. Jarvis Cocker is in extremely fine form. Really, as if the 23 or 24 years never happened between the last this album. A lot of violin in the song. which I liked. Almost a bit of a jazzy cocktail lounge touch.
Again, very Roxy music like, I would say.
You are more an expert on Roxy
mid-70s
music.
Roxy music.
Yeah. So in terms of rating?
I mean, I liked it very much, but it's still a 7, but a strong 7.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit. I think I liked it a bit more than Spike Island even. I mean, Spike Island is the better single.
Yeah, this is not a single. This is a.
It's not a single,
deep
but
cut,
it's an album track and a very good album track. And I think Spike Island is just a good single.
Yeah.
So it's a strong 7. Spike Island was like a closer to 6, and this song is closer to 8 for me. But it's a 7.
Right. Gut reaction. I would give this an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this a lot. So. Yeah, let's see how where this album.
It's really
goes.
interesting now. What's the third song will be really interesting because those were like 2 directions.
Yeah.
And I also prefer the Tina direction, which is a bit more unexpectedly something. That Spike Island is really, like I said, the mission statement. We're back and nothing has changed since different classes.
Yeah. So and this one, there's something vaguely European sounding about this song. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the next one.
Next song, Grown Ups.
Grown Ups. Not about us.
Grown Ups. What's your opinion, Murdoch?
Yeah, I like this plodding riff beat, but the entire time I was trying to remember what this melody reminded me of.
Yeah, they nicked the melody, really.
From something.
Like, it must be a very famous song, but I also can't think of which song it is. But it
sounds very familiar.
One very familiar, big, maybe 80s hit or something.
Yeah, and that distracted me a little bit from the actual song. But the 80s also were referenced in the lyrics and
like in the song before, or was it Spike Island? No, Spike Island must be about the Stone Roses concert. But maybe the Tina track. I think it also Tina gets mentioned.
Tina is
in
mentioned
this song.
again, so I'm starting to wonder: is this kind of concept
album
album or
that plays like in 1985, 40 years ago? That would be interesting.
Or at least it's a very thematic album, so there are themes running through this album.
And very crazy lyrics, right? I mean, like he's going to a newly discovered planet. Yeah, it's very strange.
It's, growing up, coming of age. Again, I like the lyrics a lot. The song as such, it almost goes for 6 minutes. There's not too much happening. Yeah.
But Pulp always had songs like that, like Feeling Called Love or Wicker Man.
Those are usually the songs where I zone out a little bit. So I liked it, but so far it's the weakest of the 3.
Really, it's my favorite.
It's your favorite, so
far. I'll give it an 8.
An 8 out of 10. For me, it's a 6.
Okay,
it's okay.
So the next song is called Slow Jam.
Slow Jam. Okay.
It doesn't sound very exciting to me.
Slows down to almost nothing.
Okay. A slow jam.
Yeah.
Sexy or too slow for you?
Neither.
Okay.
I think it's, I was afraid of the title because I thought it would be maybe an instrumental, and I looked at it 5 minutes, a 5-minute slow jam instrumental. It's not really what I'm looking for when I'm listening to a Pulp album, but it's not. It's a proper song. It's the most non-single A-side track so far.
Yeah.
But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a very good album track that an album needs to breathe. Again, very interesting lyrics. I think these are on this album so far some of the most interesting Travis Cocker lyrics ever, and that's saying something because he's mostly known for his funny or clever lyrics. It's really interesting. It's something I have to listen to again and again, I think. Musically, it reminded me a bit of like early to mid 70s Serge Gainsbourg. Bit the strings especially, and I liked it. What do you say?
I didn't pay too much attention to the lyrics. I also liked the groove, the rhythm, especially the bass.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole song is built around a rather funky, laid-back bass. It's somewhere between slow funk or even a bit of reggae. I don't know who plays the bass guitar on this album because the original bass player passed away.
Who was also very important, for the songwriting of the band. People always believe that Pulp is a band like Oasis, where where one mastermind does everything. But it always used to be the band, as far as I understood it, composed the music. And one time maybe Jarvis wrote the music and sometimes the bass player. So Jarvis was mainly he was the lyricist of the band, but the music, I think, always came from different people in the band. So I was also a bit afraid that do you know the name of the bass player? I can't think of it now.
Tim something or...
I can't remember it, but I was a bit afraid that with him not being there, something's maybe missing. But so far the bass sounds great on the album, and musically the ideas are good. The ideas are good on the album.
And also, I like that they use so much violin. Which is something they did on their earlier albums, but here it's incorporated pretty well. So, not my favorite, but I would give this somewhere between a 6 and a 7. I think I give it a 7 out of 10.
Me too. 6, good 6 or not so good 7. I think I've already given 2 7s, so this is a 6 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Balance is restored.
Next track, Farmers Market. I like Farmers Markets. So. Farmers Market. What did you think about Farmers Market?
Farmers Market was another surprise for me, musically. But I would say this is the song that really sounds like a matured version of the band, something where you have your glass of red wine. Comes with a jazzy 6/8 rhythm piano.
That's the fine thing when I have a music expert like you sitting next to me. I would never notice if it's a 6/8 or whatever. That stuff. That's not my.
A very very lush track, quite beautiful actually.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't have the time to really listen to all the lyrics. It seemed like something very nostalgic. Bittersweet memories. Yeah. And enjoyable. But what's your opinion?
I liked it, but I always hoped for a kind of payoff, like a big epic Bruce Springsteen moment. It sounded a bit like some of those tracks on the Born to Run album, like Jungle Land or Backstreets. That's also they build up and build up. They start as these kind of jazzy, nostalgic, melancholic songs, and then the big stadium moment comes. It never.
But that's not what you usually get from Pulp, is it?
But I thought maybe now they learned how to be a big stadium band. That would have been, for me it would have been cool to have a big storming, rousing chorus at the end, and he starts screaming, and then the snare comes in and the band comes in. But it was a nice song, I also appreciate those kind of, in the context of an album, again, not a single, but in the context of an album, it's always nice to have this kind of, I'm not sure if you could call it relaxing, but smooth moments. But now, I think the time is right on this album now to have an up-tempo banger again, because it's been like the second or third in a row that's this kind of feeling. But as a track, on its own, it's a fine track, and I would give it, again, 6 or 7. I would give it a 6 again.
Me too.
But 6 is good, so 6 is better than
6
average.
6 is okay, more of an introspective.
Yeah, and song. I'm looking again to my left, and I just found out that the next track is called My Sex.
Yours? My? Coca's Sex. Let's find out.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
It's neither him nor her. It's an out-of-body.
So how do you feel after My Sex?
I think Jarvis must have listened to, or the band must have listened to lots of jazz records in the last 25 years. So his idea of sex is a jazzy idea of sex. I think it contains one of the worst rhymes I've ever heard. If I heard it correctly, because this is my first time listening to it, but I felt he sang something. He rhymed agenda, like having something to do with a gender, like male or female.
Yeah, I got the same.
It's like a very bad rap lyric, I think. But yeah, it's very interesting sounding. It's surprisingly, I came into this album, especially after Spike Island, thinking, oh God, is this another nostalgic? We want to sound like 1995 album, but not as good as Different Class. But it becomes more and more clear to me. No, they really tried to give us something new with some of the great elements that worked in the past. But their last album, We Love Life, I think I've mentioned it before, it's not my favorite Pulp album, but that album already started to go into this more, what can you call it, jazzy direction, and I think it's cool that they kind of picked up where they left, and it's not my favorite track on the album, but one thing I also have to say, which became more and more apparent for me listening to this track, I really love the production of the album. I think it's a great production. So what's your sex?
Yeah. It's very smooth production, a sleazy song a little bit. I'm also a bit undecided about the lyrics. Some lines had me really chuckle, like my sex leaves much to be desired.
And
then
typical Travis Scott.
There were other lines where I thought, okay, what's he going on about? Overall, not a track I liked very much, to be honest. I don't think this has a lot of replay value. I would give it a very weak 6. I didn't like the ending somehow with those staccato background vocals. I don't know. I didn't really.
It's an interesting idea. Again, I appreciate they do.
Something else.
They go somewhere where they haven't been yet before, like the Enterprise. But it's also for me the weakest track on a very, at least until now, strong album. So I give it a 5.
Okay.
5 for me.
So far, I would also say, apart from Spike Island, this is not really Different Class Part 2. It's an album with its very own character, and that's what I enjoy.
And I think the next track is also one of 2 tracks that was already released as a single, but I never listened to it. Never listened to it yet. It's called Got to Have Love. Got to Have Love. Do you have love?
For this track, yes, I do.
Oh.
I do. I think of the 2 singles, this is the better one for me. It's not the best Pulp song ever, and they quote themselves a little bit, which is always a bit of a fan service, and
the
sometimes
L-O-V-E.
L-O-V-E spelling, quite charming. I think here it works. I like that it has this dramatic disco drama feel. Really, really good track.
Yeah, it's my favorite track so far. It sounds a bit like it's on the one side it's a bit like a sequel to Feeling Called Love, from Different Class with the L-O-V-E, but it also sounds a bit like this disco version of Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. I think it's also in the Kill Bill movie. I love it. And I also think, of course, it's the better single. And the thing is, with both singles, those are the 2 tracks where they tried really to, create a nostalgia factor or ride on the nostalgia wave. It's very much, it's not really a track that could have been a Different Class because the production is so, in a good way, I think, going for different things. But it's a very fine track. It's not too much nostalgia that it can stand on its own as a good track, and I'm giving it 8 out of 10.
It's also an 8 for me.
Cool. Next track is Background Noise.
Trying to explain what brought me back, just a hunch.
Okay, Stefan, what do you say to 3 minutes and 41 seconds of background noise?
If the background noise is a reverby 80s tambourine, I can live with it. But in a song, he sings about a buzzing fridge, which is a noise I don't particularly enjoy. And musically, it's also probably the track I enjoyed the least so far. I think that the harmonies, the chord structure and so on, is a bit boring. Didn't really happen much for me. The lyrics, of course, like I said, the busting of the fridge, it's a nice, that's a nice image, typical Travis Cocker kind of thing. So it's okay. It's not my favorite.
Okay.
Your
Yeah, we
opinion?
are. This was track 8, I think.
It's
so
track 8, yes. Out
rather
of 11.
deeply or late into the album, and with the title like background noise, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be maybe really a bit of a throwaway track. And then I was surprisingly well entertained. I actually enjoyed this very much, especially the chorus. The chorus is that epic thing that you, I think, wanted to have.
That's not an epic Bruce Springsteen chorus.
No, yeah, but
I wanted a Bruce Springsteen.
I don't want Jarvis Cocker. I don't want Jarvis Cocker to do an epic Bruce Springsteen.
I wanted
chorus,
Born in
this
the
was
USA on this other track.
Okay.
I wanted to have Born in the UK, which Badly Drawn Boy already did, or Born in Sheffield.
Yeah.
Born in Sheffield.
Yeah.
But that's not this track.
No, but there was something epic about it for me, at least in the pulp style.
Okay.
So I would give this an 8 out of 10 actually.
Ooh, that's the first time
yeah,
we really
we
have
have
a
a bit of-
divergence because
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 4.
Okay.
4 out of 10.
I'm leaving.
Maybe the next track will.
Set the record straight.
Yeah, it's called Partial Eclipse.
Partial Eclipse.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
Waited all night, did not hear anything at all.
Partial Eclipse, Murdoch. What's your opinion?
Yeah, interesting song title.
Yeah.
This, from the title alone, this could have been something left from We Love Life, maybe. The first few bars gave me a bit of feeling of the Twin Peaks theme melody, or at least from the atmosphere. It then turned into a sweet ballad, maybe almost sickeningly sweet. Pulp have done great ballads, but this one, I have to say, I found it rather boring.
Really, I thought that you would like this track because it reminded me on everything that I don't like about Pink Floyd or the metal album. We once talked about metal.
The ending had a bit of Pink Floyd, but it was dull to listen to.
I think I prefer it to Pink Floyd, but I still don't like it very much. Again, for me, it's a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I would give it a 5, but yeah, it's nothing too
But the next
interesting.
track title sounds very interesting. Maybe this is finally Born in Sheffield, the big anthem, because it's called The Hymn of the North. The Hymn of the
Let's hear
North.
So that was the Hymn of the North.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Your opinion?
it's a track featuring Chili Gonzalez,
Right.
first of all.
I guess he's playing the piano.
Yeah, I think so too. It's my favorite track of the album so far. I mean, there's only one left after this,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
but it has high potential to be my favorite overall track of the album. It's a kind of unusual pulp track. It reminded me a bit of my favorite Suede album, the second half, the second side of Dogman Star, where they become big and lush and symphonic, but also dramatic. I think the lyrics probably, after listening once to it, it's difficult to really, I can't analyze them now, but I think they're the most interesting lyrics, also on an emotional level on the album.
They feel heartfelt and not cynical.
Also it's the thing with the contactless society and wanting to have like a human exchange in this modern post-modern time. And then musically, I think it takes risks, but it's not complicated jazz nonsense.
Yeah.
It's jazzy, but it's beautiful in my opinion. And I really, really, really like this track. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Chili Gonzalez didn't really, stick out.
Yeah, he didn't really make. It's not
Could
like a
have been
feature.
could have been any piano player. It's another ballad, as I said. I also have the feeling that this is very personal, very heartfelt.
That's the epic track on the album.
That's the epic track on the album, but I have to say at this point the album loses me a little bit after what was the other one? The Partial Eclipse, and now this one. They're taking risks, but it's not very engaging, to be honest. There was a break in the middle that sounded a little bit like a wannabe James Bond movie.
I like that
soundtrack. But yeah, I'm not really connecting with this, so it's another 5.
5. I'm giving it a 9.
Ooh.
9 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's only one more track, A Sunset.
A Sunset.
A Sunset.
I scanned the menu options.
What's your opinion on A Sunset?
The sunsets on Pulp.
What does this mean?
No, this is a nice little closing track. Almost feels like an afterthought to the album.
Yeah.
So actually, even though I didn't like it that much, I think I would have preferred them to close the album with the Hymn of the North. But anyways, this was charming. There's something very naive about this song.
Yeah.
Almost reminded me a little bit of the more jangly stuff Cocker did on the very first Pulp album.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Nice little ditty, naive melody. I thought it was okay, but I haven't too much to say about it, to be honest.
I think the melody reminded me a bit of parts of Help the Aged. Something reminded me. But the arrangement is more like a little soul or something changed, those kind of songs.
Yeah.
So it's also one of those harking back to things we already did in the past kind of songs, or the janginess of the very early Pulp. Like I said, I think it's good. It's more than okay. I think it's a good closing track. I think it's the type of song you put on as the last song, in my opinion, on an album like that. And as a song, it's maybe not the strongest, but in the context of the album, it works for me. As a song, I'm giving it a 6.
Yeah. It's
too?
a 6, yeah.
Okay. 6. So now the album overall, you already said it, I think, when we had the Hymn of the North, that the album has lost you a bit.
Yeah, the last few tracks somehow.
Do we also give points for the album overall? Or
we can try. The logical way would be to, calculate all our
but that
single
would be
track,
too analytical. That's not really it works for me. I think, like I said, this is just a Sunset is 6 out of 10. But in the context of the album, it's better than that for me. So,
I see.
What I mean. So to me, if I have to judge it as an album, I think it's a very good comeback album. Let's see if it's a comeback that lasts for more than one album. Maybe it's just a farewell, a very late farewell. But it's they did it with dignity, I think. But I think they also didn't make it as dry and as unexciting as Blur did on the ballad. Was it called the Ballad of Darren?
Yeah.
Something like that. I didn't really. I like the Pulp album much more than the Blur album. I think the best of those 90s Britpop bands doing albums now are Suede. I think their contemporary albums are all very, very, very good. But it's a very good album. I'm giving it 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a solid return.
Also because of the production.
Yeah. I like the production as well. I'm repeating myself, but especially the use of the violin somehow.
Yeah.
Is really interesting, and I like the first half a lot. So I would also give this a 7 out of 10. I think I gave the Ballad of Darren also 7 out of 10.
I liked. When I made my review for the Ballad of Darren, I think I gave a kind of favorable review. But if I'm honest, after those first 2 or 3 listens, when it came out,
you didn't really return to the album.
I never returned to the album. There was a lack of excitement in the music, I think. But I can see myself returning much more often to
there's more
this
soul.
album.
There's more soul to this album.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and my favorite track I think is Tina.
My favorite really track is, as a hit song, I really liked Got to Have Love. And my favorite album track is The Hymn of the North. The Hymn of the North, yeah. The track that you didn't like.
No.
So that's it for today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching.
let's see
Thank
what
you,
you
Murdock.
think. Thanks as well for being on my channel or your channel,
Yeah.
wherever you are watching this, and check out the other videos.
Yeah.
You did
Our hundreds of
our
videos.
perfect
Now, check them out now.
Immediately.
All those
Yeah.
videos.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.